Alrighty, welcome back to Fantasy Premier League, the D Unit's journey. I'm your host, the D Unit, aka Darius Crispler, and today we are doing a fantasy special. I'm going to be revealing my fantasy team for the year and talking you through FPL and decisions ahead of tonight's game week 1 deadline, where all of a sudden all the decisions have been plotting all summer, all the hard work, the fixture analysis, the looking at preseason games and trying to work out the stats and who's actually going to start in these teams and how it's all going to play out. All of that comes down to the line tonight. You've just got to make a decision and hope for the best. So if you're following me via Spotify or Apple, or if you're listening to this on YouTube, please make sure you like and subscribe and rate the show. If you've got a comment or you'd like to ask some questions, I am going to do a section in the following week's episodes, which I will be doing on a Wednesday, hopefully with a mate of mine from the UK, live from there, so we can get a bit of a different opinion from somewhere in the source of where FPL is actually going down. Please make sure you leave some comments. We will get to them, and interesting questions. I'll definitely try my best to get to most people. If you've got a decent question there for me, please ask away. Without further ado, we are going to be starting off though with Fantasy Premier League Challenge. I alluded to it in my previous opening podcast on this show, and this is my first time ever doing FPL Challenge, so I don't consider myself an expert. I can't even tell you how long it's actually been going on for. But this week, and I've managed to convince some of my mates to do it and do a league with me as well. The first 4 weeks seem pretty straightforward, so we'll be focusing on this week. It's the debut week. It's called debut, and you get unlimited budget, which means you can buy whatever players you want, however much they are. You can literally buy the 5 most expensive players in the game. Obviously, one of them has to be a goalkeeper and one of them has to be a defender, but everything else you can just buy the most expensive if you want, hope for the best. I actually haven't picked the most expensive, but I've gone close to picking the most expensive for all these. So in the 5-a-side, you have to pick your team. But before we get into that though, I've got a couple of guests here for me. If you're following along on video, here's one of my favourite mates. This is the Fellaini. He's obviously got my shirt on in the background. Being a mad Man United fan, I'm very excited because it's the Premier League kickoff as well, let alone the fantasy kickoff. And I'm very excited for our game against Fulham later. I think we're going to have a really good season. Now, before we get into the FBL Challenge, which I've just said I was going to, got a little bit sidetracked. First off, I'm going to debut my team name. Now, everyone knows, if you look at me and you check me out on YouTube, you'll find that my face looks quite familiar to the bloke that's just returned to Man United, Ruud Van Nistelrooy. Rudy Van Nistelrooy. Van Nistelrooy. Van Nistelrooy. Now, look, I get that every time I used to go up to watch a game at the pub at the Bishop's Blaze before match days when I was living in the UK and in Manchester. Everyone would always go and stop me for photos. Like, no word of a lie, and videos and stuff. And like, I do look a lot like him. I don't with this particular haircut, but if I grew my beard out a little bit more, it would look very similar to what Ruud looks like. And I just need to get those glasses, man. He looks so sophisticated in those glasses. But I digress. So that leading into my name for this season is Ruud to Forget United. Now, I think it's Ruud to Forget United because I think actually we are a good chance, and there it is, Ruud to Forget United. For the followers listening along on YouTube, you can actually now see what I'm talking about. I think United are going to be back. I don't think we're going to win the league, but I think we're going to finish top 4. And I've seen ESPN, going to shout them out, they have put United finishing 8th. I don't think so. I think whoever did that, mate, turn it up. I think you've got no chances of us finishing 8th. I think we're definitely going to finish in the top 4. We can finish 2nd. And if Man City get relegated, which we can all hope, we all hope that is going to happen. So that way United can come back to the top in title number 21. But neither here nor there. Let's get into the 5-a-side, manage my team. Let's see what I've got. So I've gone with Raya in goal for Arsenal. I think against Wolves, they will actually keep a clean sheet, which makes me think that he's worth a pop. And I can't predict anyone making a penalty save because it's just who knows what's going to happen with VAR this year and the changes with that and the fact that I think that the way they've changed it with PGML is the referees now, it's going to be their decision. It's very complicated. I don't know how it's going to work. Hopefully we'll see it tonight when United get given a penalty and the referee goes, yes, that's a penalty. But we'll see. In defence, I've gone with the most expensive defender because you can. You've got an unlimited budget here. Can't even spin my word out. So I've gone with Alexander-Arnold from Liverpool. Their trip to Ipswich Town, surely he gets an assist or a goal or a clean sheet or all of the above. Yeah, he's a logical pick there, especially when you don't have to really think about your budget. Next up, I've gone for the most expensive in midfield as well. In this formation, I have gone, you have to pick a goalkeeper, so I've gone a 1-1-2. So one defender, one midfielder, two forwards. You can go either two defenders, one midfielder, one forward, or one defender, two midfielders, one forward, but I've gone with the two forwards. So I've gone with Mo Salah, again, Liverpool player. I really like that fixture against Ipswich Town. And when we get into my main team, when I reveal it, you'll see there's a reason why Liverpool have the best run of fixtures to begin the season with. If they can't actually get Arnie Slot's reign off to a flyer, then they're cooked and he'll be done and he'll be sacked by Christmas. 100%, you heard it here first. Now, moving forward, I've gone with the two forwards because I really love the matchups. You have to pick Haaland. The dude somehow always scores. Like he's had a bit of a mixed preseason. He's looked good in some games, and then in other games he hasn't looked so flash. But you can't bet against that man. He's likely to score 2 goals against Chelsea. That Chelsea team looks like a shambles. So I've seen people say they're going to reach top 4 this year, but they actually need to start playing some football and stop conceding goals because all their preseason games, man, when you're conceding 4 goals to Celtic, there's something wrong with how you're defending. It looked to be a bit like how United defended last year, where we just couldn't defend and we were crap and we finished 8th. And then obviously I've gone with Isaac. I think the Newcastle fixtures as well to begin the season are pretty damn juicy. And I think in this particular week, it's hard to look past Isaac. I've just realised that at the moment I've got Haaland as captain, so I am changing that because I think that Salah is probably going to be a better captain. So there you go. You've just seen me change my captain to Salah. I don't know why I picked Haaland as captain. I actually think Salah, his opening day record, as we'll get to in a little bit, is unbelievably good, and it's very hard to go past that man. So those are my 5. Raya in goal, Alexander-Arnold defence, Mo Salah in midfield as the captain, and Isaac and Haaland up front in my 5v5, or whatever it is, debut in the FPL Challenge. Now, that changes every week. If we go quickly to next week, yes, I want to leave this page. I've just saved my team. Hopefully it did. And next week, it's all out attack. So goals are worth double points. Your squad may only contain 1 goalkeeper and 4 forwards. So next week, you've actually got to pick 4 forwards. I think that's how it works. And you've really got to be on it. If you miss out on a week, you're pretty much cooked and you're going to be left behind in your league. So I like it. It means you have to actually look after your team and come back to it every week. I think that's fantastic. And hopefully it's a good addition and hopefully I'll get into it. And hopefully you guys find this and find it rewarding and a bit of fun as well. I don't know if that's where the mystery chip came from. The mystery chip, I've actually given it a bit more thought about what it could be because I heard other people talk about it. And like, I actually thought it'd be really cool if you got the mystery chip was your whole team scored like double points or triple points for that game week. I think that's pretty cool. And then you can just pick out and you'd be like going, all right, this is a game week where I think all my players and my team is just going to pop. And then you play it and they either all suck and you get no points or they all pop off and you just dominate and rise up the rankings. I reckon that'd be kind of cool. I don't know if that is what they're going to do, but just throwing that idea out there. They haven't released what it is going to be, but hey, FPL, if you guys are watching, that's my take for what you should do. Now, if we go back to what I was originally going to talk about, I'm revealing my team. Now, I have put the last 3 days since the last podcast I did, in the opening episode, I have sat there and looked at the pick team transfers, and I'm sure everyone else has as well, in the panic that is leading up. Now, the hardest thing is that you are having to pick a team based on the fact that the first 3 game weeks are going to be different to the next 35 that follow after the first international break in the start of September. Because of the fact that at the moment the transfer window is still open and we don't know where players are going to end up or how that's going to affect players that are in teams that we pick. So it's a lot of guesswork. At the moment, Liverpool haven't signed a player, which could have a massive ramification for your players that you pick from there. they might actually pick a forward, and all of a sudden Diego Jota, who's potentially sitting there starting as the number 9, is no longer going to be the number 9. It's also like Solanke, who, looked good in Bournemouth. Everyone's like raving, oh, he's in Tottenham now. Surely he's going to be better than what he was. Well, is he even going to start the first game of the season? These are the things to consider when you're putting together your team. So hopefully I'll be able to provide a bit of context, a bit of analysis, hopefully before you guys lock in your teams. Otherwise, it's going to be irrelevant. You'll just be like, oh, I really wish I'd listened to that beforehand. But let's see how we go. So, going on my team. Originally, earlier in the week, I had David Raya in goal. I actually had an Arsenal player in my team. As it stands currently, there is no Arsenal player in my team. I just couldn't get amongst their fixtures, and the prices of all their players just really put me off when I feel like there's way better value in other things. So originally I was going with David Raya, and I had Matt Turner, who was a 4 million goalkeeper, and he did get games for Nottingham Forest last year. But when I went back and checked the stats for Nottingham Forest preseason games, he's played like 2 halves, and the rest has been filled by Sells, who's the 4.5 goalkeeper. That's not going to cut it for me. So I've gone with Henderson in goal, 4.5. His Crystal Palace's run to begin the season is absolutely fantastic. They've got Brentford first game week, who don't really look that attacking. Then they've got West Ham, followed by Chelsea away, and who knows what that's going to be like. Then they've got a pretty nice run. Leicester at home. Well, United. Hopefully United beat him, so I'll trade him out. I'll swap him over with the other goalkeeper that week. But yeah, so we got Henderson. My other goalkeeper I've actually gone with is Flecken from Brentford. So it's ironic. It's either one or the other this week because they're playing each other. But next week it'll definitely not be Flecken because they've got Liverpool. So the idea is that those two will rotate and I'll be able to pick out which one's going to have the better fixture from week to week. It saves money because if you went with David Raya, who is 5.5, and went with a 4 mil goalkeeper or 4.5, you're having to waste an extra 0.5 or 1 mil in order to have Raya. And I just think that that's not really good value considering how tight the budget is with some of these big premium prices in there and trying to fit them in my team. So at the moment, I'm lining this up in a 3-5-2. I'll get to my bench. I've obviously covered the goalkeepers, but I'll leave the 3 players on my bench till the end and I'll explain them and where I'm potentially going. So at the moment, I've got Pedro Porro. Tottenham's early fixtures are amazing. So Leicester away, Everton home, Newcastle away. I know Arsenal home's not a good one, but Pedro Porro just attacks, and I expect Spurs to score in that game, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's involved. And then they've got a nice juicy run. Brentford, Man United, Brighton, West Ham, Crystal Palace. All pretty much green or white teams, so I don't think there's much worry there. He's going to score goals. Tottenham, they've always conceded goals. That didn't affect his scoring last year. There's a reason why he's 5.5. I think he is a good premium defender to have that gives you a lot of upside, particularly in attacking returns. And remember the changes to the BPS system in terms of attacking returns. I think it's definitely worth. He does have shots from that position, so I think that's definitely going to aid him. Again, I really love Crystal Palace's fixtures to begin the season. So I've gone with Anderson in defence at the moment, but I will get to potentially where I'm going to go here. I'm going to show you the other version of this team, and I'm not sure which one I'm going to land on or if there's certain players I'm going to miss out or miss in, but I really want to get Trent into this back line. At the moment, he's not in there. So I've got Anderson in there from Crystal Palace. Again, I really love their fixtures early. And then my third man of the defence is Dan Burn for this week. He is my route into the Newcastle defence. I'm not sold on it. I was looking at Hall, but I'm not convinced Hall is going to be a regular starter, whereas I feel like Dan Burn is more likely to be a regular starter. I'm not sure why. I just feel like he is, at least until they're saying Gahey, or whatever his name is, Gouay, from Palace. But they're holding out for 65 mil. So there's no guarantee, and it's obviously going to take a couple of weeks for him to settle anyway. So I think for the first 3 game weeks, prior to the international break, I think Dan Burn's looking good. They've got Southampton at home, Bournemouth away, and then Spurs at home, then Wolves away and Fulham away. I think that's a pretty damn good run for Newcastle, to be fair. Then moving into the midfield, this is where I've gone big in this team. I have gone with Mo Salah. I've somehow fitted him in my team. I've got no money left over, by the way. I've literally used all 100 million here, which is concerning because if something goes awry and there's a price change, I could be stuffed. But at the moment, I'm definitely going to keep Mo Salah. His fixtures to begin with: Ipswich, Brentford, Man United. He's got excellent history in each. I mean, Liverpool don't have a hard fixture until Arsenal in game week 9. I think you literally have to triple up on Liverpool. This is why I want to get Trent in as well. I just think he's going to be such great value over those first 9 weeks, provided he doesn't get injured. I just think he's going to be good. Him, Mo Salah on that side, they're going to kill it. It pains me having to say it, being a United fan, but I just can't see Liverpool not getting off to an absolute flyer, which means their fantasy players are going to be on point to begin the season. Next up, we've got Kulusevski. Now, I didn't actually have him into my team until today, but I went fishing through all the preseason data today from every single team, and his stats are insane. I mean, the only caveat I can put on it is Dominic Solanke coming into the team is probably going to take his spot. So Kulusevski was playing the number 9 role. However, I expect Brennan Johnson to drop out of the team, Kulusevski to go to the right, and Solanke to go up top in that position when it does happen. I don't know if Solanke will start the first game because he hasn't played a game for Spurs yet in pre-season. So I'm expecting Kulusevski will actually start up front in their game against Leicester, and Dominic Solanke will come off the bench. If that happens, Kulusevski's great chance of getting on the score sheet, and here's a really nice entry point for a Spurs team if you don't go for Solanke, which I haven't done in this draft. I want to see him in the starting to line up before I make that move, and I'll get to that in a little bit. Next up, I've got Garnacho. He, unfortunately, might be one of those players that makes way when I bring in Trent, because I have to cull, and it pains me to say it, but I really want United players in here. I had Bruno Fernandes in here as well, and I think these two are going to pop off this year. I really do, because I think United are going to be a lot better attacking-wise. But at the moment, I have gone with Garnacho in my lineup. His stats should be pretty good. He got a lot of involvements last year. He got 131 points last year. I'm expecting that to get to at least 200 and lift his points per game to over 4 pretty easily. They start with you would say easy fixtures. It says Fulham and Brighton are green teams, and then Liverpool at home, and then Southampton away. So 3 of them are green teams. I think he can get off to a flyer. I hope United get off to a flyer. Yeah. So then my next player is Diogo Jota. Again, he is playing. He's only come back from Portugal. He's played the last 2 preseason games, but in those 2 games, he was playing as the number 9, not Darwin Núñez. So I would suggest that he is definitely the player to pick in that midfield position as the extra Liverpool player, or even if you decide not to go with Salah and spend your money elsewhere, he would be a great option to keep in from a Liverpool perspective, considering the easy run of fixtures to begin the season. There's no reason, if he stays fit, he won't pop off. And Jota does have those moments in each season, and it's happened over the last couple, where he just goes ham. And last year I had him for a couple of those weeks, and he just racked up the points. I think he got like 30 points in like 2 weeks. It was absolutely insane. So hopefully that's how he starts. That's what I'm fingers crossed. His ownership's now gone up to 15.3% as well. So a lot of other people thinking the same. If we go to the last one, this dude is the form pick of every player in preseason across the league. He has the best stats. He has scored the most goals. He has had the most assists in preseason. Can he translate it to the start of the season? I'm certainly hoping so, because if he does, his price is going to skyrocket. Well, not skyrocket, but it's definitely going to increase. He's only sitting at 2.1% ownership. So even if it goes pear-shaped, probably not going to go down in price. I will be able to jump off and go to another 5.5 that's looking good. But Jacob Murphy from Newcastle, it's hard to look past his first couple of fixtures. Southampton at home, Bournemouth away, Spurs at home, Wolves away, and Fulham away. He should, if he continues his form from pre-season, he is going to be an absolute steal. I'm all over it. I'm here for the ride. I'm hoping he can deliver for me. Let's hope if you put him into, he'll deliver for you as well. Then I've gone with Isaac from Newcastle, because again, Newcastle, great fixtures. I've got a trip up on Newcastle at the moment. Unfortunately, Dan Burn will probably drop out for Trent, so I only end up with 2. It wouldn't surprise me if Gordon popped off as well. The only reason why I haven't got Gordon in here is because I've gone with Kulusevski, and he's 1 million less, and so I was Garnacho 1 million less. But you can easily fit one of them in and then trade the other one down to a 5.5. There are so many good value options at 5.5 and 5. That, yeah, we'll get into that in a little bit. Then I've gone with the big Haaland. You have to put him in, man. His ownership started off, I think, at like 30%. The longer this has gone on, the higher it's got. He is now above 50.4% for ownership. And even at 15 mil, so many people, like, you just can't miss out on him. If he pops off in the first week, that's 50% of teams already going to be behind the 8 ball. So you really can't afford to miss the boat. So I'm joining the masses. He is in my team. It's hard to look past a bloke that averages 7 points a match. Like, not many other players do that. I just don't think you can do it. Even though they start with Chelsea away, that Chelsea team are horrible. And he already belted a couple of goals past them in the preseason game as well. So definitely something to keep your eye on there. Then it brings me to my bench. And my bench is definitely going to change. I have obviously Flecken in goal. He's not going to change. Flecken and Henderson definitely locked in this team. Muniz is on the bench at the moment. Fulham's early fixtures look really good. So outside of United tonight, they've got Leicester home, Ipswich away, West Ham home, Newcastle home, and Nottingham Forest away. Great fixtures. However, he is likely to go because if I bring in Trent, I'll be going from a 3-5-2 to a 3-4-3, and I'll be getting a real budget midfielder who will be staying on the bench and won't be coming on. So he will actually change to Chris Wood because Nottingham Forest's fixtures to begin the season are unbelievably good. The first 3-4 weeks, all greens, pretty much. And Wood's been in good goal-scoring form, and I don't think the other bloke, or Awani or whatever his name is, he's not going to be a threat, I don't think, because he's had a limited preseason and he's only played a couple of minutes. So Chris Wood hopefully gets off to a flyer. He played Bournemouth, who he scored a hat-trick against last year, first game of the season. No pressure, Wood. Please deliver a hat-trick if I do bring you in. Then we've got Robinson, again, from Fulham. After this week's game against United, I'm not expecting him to pick up any points today, which is why he's the second slot along on my bench. He's got Leicester home, Ipswich away, West Ham home, Newcastle home, and Nottingham Forest away. Exactly the same as Muniz. I think Robinson would be picking up quite a few points in between there and then. So he's definitely one to keep in your team. Fulham's early run in the season is very good. So definitely a recommended option at 4.5 in defence. And then I've literally gone for an enabler in my defence. I've gone for Barco from Brighton and Hove Albion. Looks like a raw kid, little ginger raw kid. I don't know how old he is, but I wish it said actually how these players are when you're there. Maybe there is a button. Maybe someone can put that in the comments. But yeah, he's going to be raw. He scored 5 points last season, so he must be young. And he's just there because Esputiang is out injured, but apparently he's back in training, so who knows how long that is going to be for. But yeah, he's in there. He's taken a couple of corners. I don't know if he's actually going to get any points. I don't even know if he's ever going to see my field. But at the moment, he is there. I'm a little bit concerned if I bring in Trent that my bench is going to be super weak. And I'll have 2 defenders on there that I really don't want to come on. And a midfielder that I definitely don't want to come on. So we'll go on to the other options now. So in defenders, the other people that I have thought about getting in, if we go to the transfers tab here, if we go to defenders, Arsenal likely are going to keep clean sheets. I just can't justify spending that much money for them still. None of them are really good attacking players. I know they score goals with their head, but outside of that, the one that I haven't got in there that I'm not even thinking of that I would if there was more money to go around, and that's Garviol from Man City. I just don't think they're going to start the season with the cleanest of sheets. They've all just come back from international duty. They're going to be a bit slow to get going. They always are, Man City. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's a bit of a slow up-and-comer, but in terms of keeping the clean sheet points. But if there was another defender I would want outside of Trent and Pedro Porro to start the season, it's actually probably him over the Arsenal defenders. Yep. I know. I can't believe I've said that. I've got nothing against Arsenal. I actually hope out of Arsenal and Man City, and I hate to say it because their fans are just ridiculous, but I would hope that Arsenal would beat Man City because far out. I'm sick of seeing Man City win. And we don't like them. A bunch of cheats anyway. So if we go to the midfielders, they're the only ones I'm interested. There are some like 4.5. Martinez is stiff to miss out for me being a United fan, but I definitely think I'm going to make some changes in my midfield, and at some point, I really want to see how Man United start. If they start like crap, I'll be so glad I haven't got the players. If they start good, after 3 game weeks, I'm telling you, I'm bringing some in. Now, if we go to the midfielders I've left out, Palmer and Foden. I haven't looked at them at all. I just think Palmer's just shot up in so much in price. Even though he scored the most points last year, he ain't going to do the same this year. That Chelsea team's going to be a lot better once Maresca gets them going. Last year, they just gave it to him and he did everything. I just don't think they'll play the same way this year, which means his points are going to be a lot less. And I think his price will drop. And then hopefully he does pick it up and then I'll jump on. So Foden, he just hasn't played any preseason at all, so it's hard to justify starting with him. And you've always got the pep roulette, and the pep roulette is so frustrating that it just makes you want to, yeah, you know what I mean. Son, I don't really think like he's an option. Well, I mean, he should be, but he's getting old. But yeah, no. Odegaard would be fine. Gordon, again, I did consider Gordon, but again, he's only played 45 minutes of preseason, so you'd be brave, but there's no reason why you couldn't go with him. Bowen, again, he's just been made the West Ham captain, club captain, so I expect him to be really good. And Bruno Fernandes, as I said, I had a team earlier in this week, but prior to showing you this one, Bruno Fernandes was in it. So I've only changed because I wanted to get some premiums in the defence. So unfortunately he misses out because of that. And I really like Liverpool's start. Again, it pains me to say it, but their start to the season is brilliant. Luis Diaz, again, is another player to watch. 100%. Leon Bailey for Aston Villa, again at 6.5. A bit of a cheaper option. Definitely worth a look. And Kudus as well from West Ham. They could hit the ground running. And Eze, as I said, they've got that amazing run of fixtures to begin the season with. Eze would also be a really good shout. It's just so many players. Trying to fit them all into your team, it's just so hard. Then we come down to the budget options. So Andreas Pereira was good last year at 4.5. He's only 1 million more. He's going to be probably just as good. He'll just give you that presence at that price point. Alanga, as I said, Nottingham Forest start really good. So Alanga and Hudson-Odoi at 5.5, both really good options. Sean Longstaff as well at 5, and Souček. You know what they offer? They're limited going forward, but they do get points from time to time. Not the worst players in the world. Madison's at 7.5. Interesting, but I just think there's better options. Going down, Kluivert at 5.5 for Bournemouth. Could be an interesting pickup. He could be a really good budget pickup considering they've just sold Solanke. He's on penalties now. He probably will score more goals. Definitely a player to keep an eye on early and see how he adjusts to life post Solanke. McTominay, if he goes to another team, he could be another shout as well. At 5 mil, he ain't going to get games at United. So mate, if you're listening to this, get sold because you're wasting your time sitting on the bench. Then we go down and we'll look at some other budget options. So we have a bloke I want to talk about. Matoma, 6.5, a little bit too much. But there are some other really good ones that are going to make you think and go, oh, should I get them in? So Harry Winks is one of them at 4.5 midfielder. He will play every game of the season, but he's an enabler. He's one of them blokes I'm thinking of bringing in just because he ain't going to go down in price. He's going to play every week. He's probably not going to get more than 2 points every week, but at least he is a body that's going to be there in the event that, everything goes to crap and I have to bring him in to cover some injuries last minute or whatever. One bloke I want to talk about is Ahmad. Ahmad's had an amazing preseason for Man United. He's scored, he's assisted, he's looked fantastic. He even looked great in the Community Shield. The only problem is his minutes. So he got hooked at 60 minutes for Garnacho, and Garnacho scored. So I really think Ten Hag will keep faith with Rashford tonight, and that means that Garnacho probably starts and Ahmad's on the bench. Unless Ahmad starts up front or Rashford starts up front, and that way they'll all play. But I think that he's going to persist with Mason Mount and Bruno Fernandes up top to begin the season. So that's one of them wait and sees. But if he does start, he could be amazing at 5 mil. Definitely expect him to have a great season, so keep your eye on that one. Sancho, might as well sell him, 6.5, useless. I'm just pointing it out because it's just a player that's gone downhill. Now, an interesting player at 4.5 as well is this I don't even know how you say his name, Tim Gunbunham from Everton. He was sent the other way when Onana went from Everton to Aston Villa, and he will start every week, I think, for Everton in that midfield spot. Again, he's not going to offer much attacking threat, so don't expect much from him, but he probably will get you those 2 points, and he could be another one of them fantastic enablers at 4.5 mil that get you in. Also, another one that surprisingly, I was like, what the hell? How is this guy 4.5 when he costs so much money for Chelsea? But Romeo Lavia is only 4.5 as well. And if he somehow starts and keeps his spot, and he did used to play for Maresca when he was coach at Man City under 21s, I think. So he's another bloke to keep an eye on because if he gets a run of games, that's really good. But I mean, he's got Caicedo and Enzo Fernandez there as well. Like, it's going to be pretty bloody hard to get in that midfield for Chelsea. So yeah, it's going to be one of them wait and sees for me. you could start that, but there's no guarantee he's going to start. And you really do want players on your bench just in the event that you do get injuries that are going to be getting there. Now, when we go to the forwards, that's pretty much all the midfielders I want to cover there. The only other one that I was looking at that potentially might come in is Morgan from Aston Villa at 5 mil. I can't seem to find him on this screen at the moment, but he's had a really good preseason as well. And his stats from game week 31 last year till the end of the season were amazing. So I don't know if he can keep that up because it seems like a pretty insane rate for a bloke that's only costing 5, but he's definitely someone that you could look at as an enabler as well, just at that slightly higher price point. So moving on to the forwards now really quickly. Watkins hasn't had a preseason, so he's not really much of an option, I don't think. He will need to get some fitness. Solanke as well, he's made the move, but he hasn't actually played for Tottenham yet, so I wouldn't be surprised if he's a little bit slow starter as well. So that's the only reason why I haven't got him in, because I think that Solanke will become my third forward once he gets up and running. And depending on how Haaland goes and whether he stays fit and whatever, that's the only time I'll change the forwards. I think that the rest are pretty much set and forget at the moment. So Mateta will come in as well at some point. He's obviously been with Paris, the Olympics, but he was banging in goals there. So if he settles quickly, he'd be a great option at 7.5 as well. It could be between him and Solanke for that third forward spot. But as I said, if I bring in Trent, I will be going for Chris Wood. Chris Wood, if we have a look at their fixtures, so they've got Bournemouth at home, Southampton away, Wolves at home to begin their season. They've got Liverpool away. You're probably going to bench him for that game. And then you've got Brighton and Fulham. So they've got an amazing run, and even their defenders would be worth a shout because I dare say they'd probably be keeping some clean sheets. With the way Nuno is defence orientated first, that also comes into mind. So those are my thoughts for this week. That is my opening team. Now, the only thing I haven't covered yet is my captain. Now, you could go number of options. Isaac looks a great option for Newcastle this week, basically because they're playing Southampton. Promoted teams, you've got to be chasing your luck there. I would have even thought Kulusevski for Tottenham would be a great shout as captain this week as well. There's no reason why he can't go big, judging from his preseason form as well. And then I've settled on the one trusted, the one and only Mo Salah. His record on opening day weekends is unbelievably good. I think last year was actually his worst Premier League opening weekend ever, I'm pretty sure. So hopefully he doesn't go that. But he's normally been good for a goal and assist or a couple of goals in the opening game week. And I think against Ipswich away, they're going to be in for a rude shock. And I hope that Liverpool, as much as I hate the fact that I don't like them because they are the bin dippers and they're like the arch rivals of Man United. But for this all intents and purposes, for my fantasy team, I hope he pops off. I hope Liverpool pop off, and I hope I get off to a great start. I've gone with Haaland as my vice captain only because it's Haaland, and that dude will score goals. Don't be surprised if he knocks up a hat-trick away at Chelsea. Their defence all pre-season has looked pretty shoddy. There are plenty of other options as well. You could go with any Liverpool players this week, like Trent even, or Jota would be not bad shouts, but reality, it is going to come back down to those big ones. Mo Salah is owned by 33.6% of the teams at the moment. Leave him out at your own risk. Jota's gone up to 15%. He was on under 8% earlier this week. Insane how much this is changing when people are analysing the fixtures and the bots have stopped filling in the auto teams. Good luck in your fantasy leagues this week. Shout out to all my boys that are in ours. Hopefully they'll be joining us on future episodes to provide some insight into their teams and how well they went that week. But we are kicking off. I've got a head-to-head league ready to go, an FPL Challenge League ready to go, and just a normal everyday league or points league ready to go. Hopefully I can win them all. Hopefully you stick around to watch this journey all the way through. We will be back on Wednesdays from now on, unless there is a midweek game. But for the first 3 weeks, that's when we'll be here. I'll be covering all the scores, the big points, the big plays, the ones I absolutely made a meal of. Good luck to all the fantasy Premier League coaches out there. Hopefully your journey starts off with a win and some really good scores this weekend. And you will just have to let me know how your team goes in the comments. And remember, if you've got a comment for me, please put it away in the comments and I'll try and get to you. And if you do like the show, which hopefully you do, make sure you like and subscribe just to provide some confidence to me moving forward. All right. Thanks. Until next Wednesday, good luck and happy fantasy coaching.